All information in this program is known to be accurate at the time of recording. Any commentary by the host is for discussion purposes only. Anyone labeled a person of interest by the host or family has not been charged with a crime. All suspects charged with crimes related or unrelated to a case covered are innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. Opinions and views expressed by the host do not represent views of the families or sponsors of this program. Hello. Welcome to this week's episode of the Weekly Remind. I'm your host, Steve Stone. Today we're going to do something a little bit different. This isn't a missing persons case, but at this point, it really shouldn't matter. We're talking about the case of Ashley Anthony. Ashley Anthony was found murdered on Thursday, September the 12th, 2019. She was found in her front yard, hung in a tree by a water hose. There are a lot of things in this case that have been said that you might think are far-fetched, might think it'd be hard to believe, but if you look at in our society, in the way some of these cases are handled, it's really not that too far-fetched. I'm going to read you a statement from someone close to the case. I do have to protect some names in this case, and I'm going to do that as best I can. But I'm going to read a statement that was given to me about this case, and we'll see what you think. We want your impression on this case. On Thursday, September the 12th, Ashley's body was found in our front yard, hung with a water hose. The crime scene was not taped off. The mother was not allowed to view the body. The mother was allowed to return to the scene only hours later, and the Grenada County coroner, Scooter Robinson, had the body cleaned before it was sent to Jackson, Mississippi for an autopsy. Now, before I continue, I want to let you guys know that we have not confirmed any of this. This statement was given to us by someone close to the case, and we haven't really been able to nail down any of the specifics, nor have we been able to nail down any of the speculation in this. However, I am going to continue reading the statement in the hopes that it generates some interests in the case, and maybe we can get some people to come forward. Before I continue, I have been in contact with the family, and we are working out an arrangement where we can get a detailed, more in-depth interview with some of the family members, possibly. Also, just to get to there's meat in here. There's more to this than meets the eye, and we want to get into that. We believe that Ashley deserves justice. We will also believe that the family deserves the answers, so we want to make sure that we're above board. So in reading these, we want to preface automatically that we haven't been able to confirm anything. We're working on confirming that, and we will continue to do so as we move forward. So let's continue as we read here. 2 days after her death, a city worker was found had been bush hogging the ditch on Ashley's property. When asked why he was doing this, he stated that he had been ordered to do it. No autopsy results have been provided, or a death certificate has been provided to the family. It goes on to say the police didn't provide any escort for the funeral procession that I guess is something that they do in Grenada. Again, I have not been able to verify any of this. I don't know if that is something that is done in Grenada, but apparently this individual is taking to task some things that haven't been done that normally would be done in a case like this. Um, it goes on to say, when searching the internet concerning her death, nothing can be found. Now, this is true. I myself, in doing research on Ashley Anthony, you can find very, very indescript reports reporting on the homicide, but nothing else. Like, I really had to dig. I found one article, and then I found another article that had a Facebook post, which I'm also going to read. This goes on to say, the police tried to say that this young lady's husband, Mark Anthony, was the only suspect in the case, but yet they only questioned him once on the day of her death. There is so much that doesn't make sense that there is no way to type out everything that's happened or say everything that's happened. There have been many individuals that may be involved in this that could blow your mind. The people that were seen, the last people that saw her alive were a gentleman by the name of Trey Worthman and a Tabitha Welch. The neighbors did hear noises coming from Ashley's house, and they were told by police, according to this individual, to keep their mouth shut. There's a daycare location in close proximity to the house that has surveillance cameras that could have shown what events were taking place at the time, that a possible time of her homicide. It goes on to say that that it is possible that the evidence on those cameras could actually help investigate the case further. Again, we don't know. We are trying to lock down, again, certain people to come forward and hopefully get some leads. At the end of the day, Ashley Anthony, this beautiful woman, was found murdered in her home, or on her property outside of her home, hung in a tree with a hose. I don't know if this was somebody trying to send a message or what, but the problem with Ashley's case, and one of the reasons why I got involved in her case, was the lack of coverage in the case, the lack of media coverage, the lack of any news coming out of law enforcement. I mean, if you think about it, a case like this would be all over the news, right? Especially if there's a woman found hung in a tree. Like, you would assume that this would be everywhere, and that's not the case. And this is what is going to be a segue into my another statement that I'm going to read. This has not been covered thoroughly in the news media, obviously. Again, like I stated before, when I was searching and researching this case, I might have found two things on Google that had anything to do with the case. One was if I can pull it up, one was a news article wrote by Reggie Ross, who's a staff writer, and he said he's a staff writer. I believe it's for the Grenada Star, and it literally is 4 lines, and it just reads simply: the Grenada Police Department are investigating the death of a woman on Thomas Street, who the police chief, Garrett Hartley, identified as Ashley Anthony, 28, who was killed on the east end of Thomas Street early Thursday morning on September the 12th, 2019. The police are not saying cause of death, but they are investigating it as a homicide. And it says here, police responded to the scene around 1 a.m. on September the 12th, 2019. And that's a quote from a article written by Reggie Ross, who's a staff writer for the Grenada Star. Now, I only found that article because it was attached to a post in the Gulfport, Biloxi, Mississippi local news break on Facebook, and it was posted a couple of days after Ashley's homicide. And this person writes, "So you mean to tell the world that Ashley Anthony was found murdered in Grenada, Mississippi, and the newspaper and the police department are only capable of writing one little paragraph about this woman that was found dead? No one in Grenada County is professional enough to write a real story and ask the public for help finding her killer. The newspaper can't release a photo of Ashley Anthony? Question mark. The newspaper can't report that Ashley is a mother of 3 that will never come home to her children, or that she has a mother that has to hand her daughter over to God at the age of 28 years old. And God bless her husband that is now left to raise their beautiful children alone. The Grenada Star and the police department can't report Ashley Anthony's public Facebook post that she posted from around June 2019, which was 3 months before she was found dead, clearly stating that she feared for her life, and she named names of specific people to investigate if she were to come up dead." Now, I want to stop right there because that's huge. I don't always go into a story saying that everything's a cover-up, because you don't believe that everything is a constant cover-up. Everybody's trying to cover up everything. I don't go into thinking that. What is bothersome, and what is bothersome is that this individual was writing about the fact that they didn't take the time to identify Ashley Anthony as a mother of 3, a person, a mother, a child, and I can relate to that. Even when it comes to the missing, it seems like the media missed the buck, and they don't understand that these people are human beings. They have loved ones that care about them, that love them, and they're not getting the attention that they deserve. I've covered this extensively on my podcast and on this YouTube channel. Ashley Anthony was a beautiful young woman, and she had children, and she had a husband, she had a family. Why can't we personalize these cases? Why can't we, we can personalize everything else. Why can't we personalize this? And so I guess what I'm trying to say here is, and I completely understand the author of this post, is that we can personalize these stories and make people care, and that's the problem. You do a four sentence small paragraph, which probably a byline in the small section of this newspaper. No one's going to care. It's like this person doesn't matter, and that's the problem. Now I do want to go on to address, before I finish reading the post, where the Grenada Star and the police department can't report on the Facebook post where she named some names. Now, playing devil's advocate here, I will say that it is quite possible that law enforcement was holding off on these names. Maybe they don't want to put these names out there. Maybe, devil's advocate, maybe that's something that they want to keep close to the vest. Now, I have not seen any movement on this case. I'm still waiting on calls back. As usual, when we schedule a story we cover a story, whether it's a missing person or, God forbid, something like this, we don't get our calls back right away, and it takes time. There's no doubt in my mind that this is something that we're going to follow up on, because if I bring it up, and if I bring up a case, we're going to follow up on it 100%, because I've committed our the Grimm media, the podcast, the YouTube channel. I've committed ourselves to finding out the truth on these cases. But back to the names, I understand why the names weren't necessarily brought up. Maybe they're trying to keep them close to the vest. Maybe they're trying to limit access or limit knowledge of who these people are. So I kind of understand that. But everything that this person's posting on here is spot on, and I do agree with. This person goes on to say that the police department and the newspaper um, can't report the public posts concerning the drugs moving through Grenada County. You mean to tell the world that no one can find a killer and stop a drug ring in a town as small as Grenada? You mean to tell me the world that you mean to tell me the world that not one cameraman or news reporter showed up to talk to Ashley Anthony's family, her closest friends, nor her neighbors in the area of Thompson Street where Ashley's body was found. Something is not right with this story. Hashtag justice for Ashley Anthony. And then she tags in www.grenadastar.com. What is remarkable about this case is I have spoken to Ashley's mom. And there are a lot of moving parts with this case. There are a lot of things that I'm not going to get into right now because I want to research this case myself before making statements because just like law enforcement does, I don't want to rattle cages just yet. I want to ask the questions before I put information out here. It's just responsible. I will say this. If this is drug related or if this is if this has some kind of a larger component to it, then I could understand why it would take law enforcement a while to move on this case. However, I don't feel that anyone's moving on this case. Again, we've called. We haven't got any call back from them, and we are working to discuss some of the other family members about this case. At the end of the day, this is about Ashley. This is about justice for Ashley. It's about the fact that she has lost her life. Her children are left without a mother. Her husband is left without a wife, and her mother is had to bury a daughter. And at the end of the day, there are questions that need to be answered. And where are we going to find these at? Are we going to find these by digging, asking questions? Is law enforcement doing their job? Is this one of those things where there's a lot of urban legend, whether is the town in on it? Is it because people are scared? There's a ton of things that kind of play into balance here when we're discussing a case like this. At the end of the day, though, she needs justice. She needs the people responsible for just a heinous act they need to be behind bars, and it needs to happen. It needs to happen now. Why are we waiting? People need to come forward. I know for a fact that people get scared. Oh, it involves drugs. If they can do this to her, they can do it to us. That is a very realistic outlook and point of view. But evil will continue to prosper if good people do nothing. And you don't have to give your name. You don't in these cases, you don't have to give your name, address, telephone number. You don't have to do. You can remain anonymous. That's why Crime Stoppers is there. There's other things that can you can go through remaining anonymous and giving the information they need to get law enforcement to do their job. Now, is law enforcement doing their job? I don't know. I cannot answer that question, and I don't want to prematurely say no because I haven't spoken with them. And I think in the coming weeks we will, and like I said, we will continue to cover this story, and we will continue to keep on gaining as much information as we can and keeping you involved. There's a lot of people interested in this case, especially on social media, and we want to let everybody know that Grimm Media, the Grimm Truth Podcast, we are going to follow this case closely, and we are going to do our very best to get the information out there, and hopefully we can drum up some leads and hopefully we can get law enforcement pointed in the right direction. And again, we understand that people are scared and that people may not want to come forward because they think that what happened to Ashley could happen to them. But then again, think of it this way: these people that did this to Ashley are going to do it again, and they're going to do it to somebody. Obviously, if anybody gets in their way, they're going to do what they've got to do, and we have to stop and think: shouldn't we prevent more crimes like this so another family like Ashley's doesn't have to go through what they're going through right now? If you have any information that could help Ashley's case, please contact the Grenada PD, 662-226-1211. Again, that's 662-226-1211. As always, if you need to, you can remain anonymous. Our case remind of the week is one that we were a part of from the very beginning. Taekwon's so they took him to the hospital and to try to get him checked out. That's where things went wrong. Keep in mind, imagine this: you're driving your son who is not feeling well in the middle of, if y'all remember back there in the Texas, Mississippi, Louisiana area, we had that. I mean, it snowed in Texas. Like, there was this huge snowstorm, blizzard. They're driving in this to get Taekwon the help he needed to regulate and come down and calm down. This kid hadn't slept in days. He was just acting erratically, and he needed some help. So they drive to the hospital. He's acting erratic. He's being a bit disruptive in the hospital, and they didn't give him anything to calm down. Nothing. And finally, after hours of him being there, he was he was acting out to the point where I believe he was trying to damage a sink, so forth. They decided that they were going to give him something to calm down. At this point, Taekwon was so riled up and amped up that when they were trying to give him the shot, he books. He runs past through the orderlies, past security, and he runs out. He runs out in the middle of a blizzard, folks. And I'm sorry, he police department so they could I take a look at it. The guy that's head of the LaFleur Greenwood Hospital, head of security, his name is Dennis, was supposed to hand over this video footage. And that has not happened. So it's August the 6th. Taekwon's been missing since February the 15th, and no video footage has come forward. That's a problem. So I had the opportunity to talk to Sharnessa, who is Taekwon's mom, and she We talk about what's going on with this case, and you have to understand, listening to her, she's mad. She's emotional. She's upset, and she has a right to be. Her son's missing. There's no answers. There's no nothing. So she's very upset. So bear that in mind when you listen to the interview. And here's my interview with Sharnessa as we talk about the case and what's going on with this video footage. Take a listen. And I wanted to touch base with you and see what, if anything's transpired, if there's any new leads, has law enforcement done anything? Do we need to call them? What's happening?
You know, they put out the silver alert on May the 3rd. I had a meeting with the chief of police, and I told you about that. I sent you that recording, didn't it?
Yes, ma'am, you did.
Okay, and you remember hearing on that recording that the guy that was on the speakerphone with the chief of police said he watched that footage from the East End.
Right.
And supposed to been getting that footage to the chief. The chief said, the head of security said, ain't no footage now.
Why isn't there footage?
I don't know. And I'm trying to think, like, you're the chief of police. How's you letting him tell you this when he already told you he watched the footage?
Let me get this straight. When they had that meeting with you and I listened in, he was supposed to get back to him and hand them the footage because he had already seen the footage, but the cops hadn't had it in custody, right? And this is already 3 months after Taekwon's been missing, correct?
Yes, sir.
So
yes, sir.
Now they're saying that there is no video. There's no video footage. When was the last time you spoke with law enforcement?
I spoke to the detective on his case this morning. Actually, I spoke with him around 8 a.m. And when I called him, I was like, come on, there's nothing happening here. Let's start from the very beginning. We're going to start from the video surveillance at the hospital. That's the key thing we need to see, is that video surveillance from that hospital when my boy first went down until he came up. And let's watch this. Why don't you have this? He was really quiet on the phone, didn't even answer me. Okay, okay, there go the video footage that y'all failed to retrieve at the beginning of this investigation. I say, and then let's go to the point. If I'm lying, God to strike me down right now. I talked to this man at 8 o'clock this morning, said these things to him. I said, okay, let's go back to where the hotel room the dogs hit on, where the white couple and the brother stayed. I said, you talked to them. He said he found the clothes outside. You watched the video, and the clothes was outside before the fact that my son was missing. Before that he was missing, the clothes was already outside, meaning my son and them clothes had no contact. So you let them go, and now you can't find them no more. He said, oh, yeah, I know where they at. Actually, I done spoke to them again. Oh, they said they ain't never heard, they haven't never seen him and all that. And I said, and you let that go like that? I said, if anything would have happened, do you think people tell on themselves? So you just going to take, they haven't seen them for an answer and just let them go and don't even worry about it no more?
Sharnessa's anger and frustration is obviously understandable. I mean, how could it not be? So think about this. She goes down 3 months after Taekwon's disappearance, and they show her some video footage of Taekwon. Now, keep in mind, a mother is asked to come down to the police station. Her worst fear is she's going to get some news that they found her son. And in her mind, she's thinking she's going to get bad news. But they're showing her footage that we already knew they had. She already knew they had. That was Taekwon leaving one of the entrances to the hospital, heading down to this river area, and that's it. We didn't see him going in the river. We didn't see him coming back. That was it. So I don't know if there was a malfunction or what, but that was it. But there was more footage that was supposed to be handed over from the hospital to the Greenwood Police Department. Here we are 6 months later, and that has not happened. And now she's being told there is no more footage. What's going on? I don't understand it. She doesn't understand it, and you can hear the frustration in her voice. And I have been with her from the very beginning. We got this case. Myself and Karen Knuckles Phillips from the Missing East Texas 8. So her frustration and her anger is well placed, and she's got other children she's got to keep it together for. We discuss here in our final segment of our interview how she's doing, how they're coping, and what it's been like these last couple of months. Take a listen. What does a mom whose kid is missing, and you're trying to be a good mom for the other ones that are at home, and you're trying to carry on, but how in the heck are you guys doing it? How is it affecting you, and what are you doing just to get by?
Let me tell you. I was having suicidal thoughts. Like, I don't want to live. Missing him, not knowing. Feeling like, don't nobody care. You know what? When I say nobody care, when I talk to people and tell them I feel like nobody care, I exempt you and Karen. I said, it's black people don't even care, but it's two white people that has been with me since the beginning and act like they care more than this whole city. Y'all don't even know me. But I feel the love from y'all and the care from you guys that I feel in my own hometown. You know, and to get up every day, one of my girls told me, Mom, you got to do better because you're rubbing off, your energy is rubbing off on us. When you sad, you break all us down. So I have to pretend to be okay just so my kids can be okay. They have their days as well, but they don't call me with it. And maybe when we talk about it, they'll let me know that they had a breakdown or whatever. But you can hear in her voice that it's not only tough for her, but it's also tough for her kids. And it seems like they're working as a unit, picking each other up. But it's tough. It's tough not knowing where your son is. The other part is when a mom is told at the chief's office 3 months after her son is missing that other footage, other videotapes from this head of security there, Dennis, at the LaFleur Greenwood Hospital, is supposed to provide them with more video footage, and that doesn't happen. Well, that's a problem. And it hasn't happened, and now it's gone. Why is it gone? What happened to it? Was it deleted over? Did the time expire? I mean, there's reasonable explanations for it. You know, some DVRs can only store footage for, 90, 120, maybe 6 months. We don't know what that is, but why did that happen? Why wasn't the video footage handed over? If that's the possibility of what happened, why wasn't it handed over in time? Why does she not have answers right now? At the end of the day, we have to hold law enforcement accountable for not acting on this child. There has been an alert out on him. Great, that's fine. That's what we want. Perfect. But why are we not looking for this young man? Why are we just kind of going, yeah, there's no footage. Sorry, that's not enough. That's not an option. All leads must be exhausted. And if you heard Sharnessa in the beginning, in our first part of that interview, she says, like I have always stated, it's time to start over. It's not to, if we've reached the point where there's a dead end or we've hit a kind of a stall, time to go back and start from scratch, re-interviewing people, going back and camera footage at the hotel. I mean, I don't pretend to know all the answers, but there are things that we can do
to reinvestigate, start from scratch. If the detective in the case doesn't think that he's up to the task, pass it off. Give it to somebody. Give it to a new, fresh set of eyes. What is it going to hurt? But at the end of the day, this kid is missing. The mom and the family are hurting, and they want answers. It's simple to me, folks. It's simple, and this young man needs I want to thank you guys for tuning in to this episode of the Weekly Remind. Tune in next week as we'll have another episode where we profile the cases of the missing and our weekly case remind. Support the channel. One way to support the channel is by subscribing. Subscribe to the Grimm Truth Podcast YouTube channel. Hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode of the Weekly Remind, Grimm Media News, or any of our live streams, information, and videos regarding the missing. Leave us a like, a comment. The YouTube algorithm is a real thing, and the more likes we get, it pushes our videos to those that maybe haven't watched us before, and we want to expand our reach, not just with what we've done with the podcast, but with this channel and with the Weekly Remind. As always, I'm your host, Steve Stone. This is the Weekly Remind. God bless, and until next week, we'll see you later.